Hello, new day. Hello, ladies. Hello, women of power. Hello, goddesses awakening and arising and stepping up into your power. This is Tonya Taria, founder of Freedom at the Crossroads.com, helping every woman look better, feel better without the pressure of O.P.E. And today, let's talk some more about self-care, O.P.E, and validation. Ladies, why is it so hard to do self-care? Why is it so difficult for women to practice self-care? And this is a question that I think women have struggled internally to answer for decades, if not longer. Ever since women were even able to articulate the whole concept and notion of self-care and what it means to practice self-care. Now, for those of you who have been listening to me, following me on my earlier podcasts, you know what I speak about a little bit into the origins of the self-care movement, because that's what self-care is. It is ultimately a movement to empower yourself, to take care of your health, to take ownership of yourself and your well-being. That is at its most basic. But self-care is also empowerment. And empowerment is critical. It is crucial. It is a freedom enabler. It is a total and complete release and relinquishing of using external things, validations to value yourself. And as a woman, this is something that a number of us have struggled with. And this is something that has been a struggle for women historically for years, because let us be sincere, let us be true to ourselves and acknowledge that most of societies around the world are patriarchal in nature and exhibit tendencies of misogyny to varying degrees, some depending on the culture and, political, structures within, certain regions. That level of misogyny is increased, more visible, or less overt, or less visible. But nonetheless, for the most part, they're there. And women have had to learn to navigate these bombs, or should I say mines, in order to survive. And we have reached an age now where women are no longer willing to just survive. After all, every being on this planet, every being that exists on this plane of existence was meant to thrive, not just survive. Not just survive. When you look in nature, you see how plants, when they're properly nourished, they thrive. They don't just survive. The same thing for the animal kingdom, of which we are a part. When we nourish and refill, we thrive. And we open and unpack the various gifts and beauties that we carry within ourselves to the betterment of the planet, to the betterment of societies across the globe. We thrive. And so this issue of women, this notion of women surviving, that has begun to break down as women have begun to awaken to the fact that they are powerful beings, that we are powerful beings, that we have our own power, but we've been giving it away. We've been conditioned. We've been domesticated to relinquish our power so that certain power structures and entities can access our power and manipulate society and culture to their own benefit. And we are tired. And not just tired of that. We are saying no more. And that's what a lot of the movement, such movements as Me Too and things of that nature, self-care that the media has so popularized and also bastardized. That's what this rising is about. And women are frustrated and tired of, giving and giving and giving of themselves, so there's nothing left from a place of emptiness, and relinquishing more and more and more of our own power. And you see this in the continued debate across the globe, not just here in the United States, not just here in the Western world. This is something that is happening in Africa, that is happening in Europe, that is happening in the Middle East, where you have female activism at one of its highest levels in history, in recorded history at least, where women are saying, no, 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 I have control over my own body. My body is mine. This is my power. This is mine, my entity. This is me. I own it. You cannot claim something that is intrinsically mine. And that applies to our bodies, that applies to our minds, that applies to our emotions, that applies to how we exhibit our gifts, that applies to how we choose to express ourselves. No one has the power or the right to tell you how to express yourself, what emotions you should or should not express or suppress, who has access to your body and who does not. So women are rising up and we're saying enough is enough. Now, how do you break the cycle of O.P.E? I've heard that question too. I talk so much about breaking the cycle of O.P.E, other people's expectations, breaking the cycle of conditioning. Well, how do you begin to do this? First and foremost, the number one way you begin to break the cycle of O.P.E, other people's expectations, and reliance on outside validation is awakening, is recognizing first and foremost that you have been conditioned. Because if you lack self-awareness, you cannot change your state. You cannot change where you are. You will continue to spin on that hamster wheel, going nowhere. Yes, ladies, if you are not awakened, or you choose to remain unawakened, or you choose to remain in the status quo because you feel like that's an easier path or the path of least resistance, go back to sleep. This is not for you. But if you're someone who truly is tired, who is truly ready to change your state, to truly embrace and step into their power, take ownership of self, responsibility of self, responsibility of own power, of owning your own power, your own choices, your own decisions. If you're ready to step up and be awakened, you're in the right place. So the first punch to breaking the cycle is awakening. And like Neo in the Matrix, you take the red pill or you take the blue pill. You take the red pill, you are ready to accept where you are and then rise up and reclaim your power. If you choose to take the blue pill, that means you're ready to go back to sleep. That means you're ready to, you want to, stay, with the status quo. And there are plenty of women throughout, history and throughout society who have chosen to do that. Those are AKA those women who like to be known as super women. I'm not one of them, because I recognize that whole thing is a trap. Why should you spread yourself so thinly and in so many directions that you're overwhelmed, frustrated, your health and fitness and well-being are shattered or they suffer because you're giving yourself away and trying to please everybody on the planet? Now, I know that's an exaggeration when I say everybody on the planet, but you understand what I mean. You can't say no to anything. Your quote unquote women's church group says, "Oh, we need somebody to cook. We like in Nigeria, we love our jollof rice, but it's labor intensive. So we need somebody to. Can you, sister so and so? Can you provide we need it by tomorrow? What? And you don't say no. You say, oh, okay. And and the people, and you because you're looking for that validation for somebody to say, oh, She's such a good woman. She's such a giving woman. She's so selfless. There you go. And in the inside of your head, you're wondering and scrambling like a headless chicken, thinking to yourself, oh, how am I going to, oh, that means I have to stay up all night just to get this, but I still have to go to work tomorrow. How is that benefiting anybody? I think the problem is we fail to realize that those we care about the most, those obligations we truly are passionate about and care about the most, we are unable to fulfill those things that really activate our cores and our passions because we are worn out on the altar of O.P.E. That's not proving any, quote unquote, proving your worth. You are intrinsically worthy as a human being, as a beautiful, unique life form walking this plane of existence. You are beautiful and unique and powerful and giving. By definition, we all have gifts of human beings that we bring to this plane of existence. And it is our power. It's all tethered to our power, to our own power to unpack it. We are the only ones that can unpack these gifts. We are the only ones that can express these gifts and bestow them on the world that we live in. But if you're tired, if you're worn out, if you're sick, if you are frustrated, spinning on that hamster wheel going nowhere, operating on false idols of superwoman complex, guess what? You're not going to be able to do any of that. At the end of the day, you'll be full of regret. You'll be resentful that you didn't get to, quote unquote, live your life. That you didn't get to unpack those gifts that you always wanted to do, that you always wanted to express and unpack to the world. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to women in my family, particularly women older than me in my family. I said, I wish when I was younger I had done this. I wish I had done that. I wish. That is such a painful state of mind and so depressing too. And it leaves you and draws you into a tunnel of resentment, frustration, and smallness. It is time to break the wheel. To live your fullest potential, to achieve that higher you that you are truly capable of, you must arise and you must break the cycle. And part of breaking the origin of breaking that cycle begins with awakening. Because once you are awakened, you're awakened to the fact that you are spinning your wheels, you're on a hamster wheel going nowhere, that you live on the altar of O.P.E. Once you recognize that, then you can see, why am I doing this? Your mind begins to awaken. You begin to open yourself up, and subconsciously, you begin to even crave more, that awakening, that restlessness that stirs you to action begins to awaken in you. So the first step to breaking cycles of O.P.E. begins with awakening. The next step is activation. Because once you are awakened, that restlessness begins to stir and boil within you as a woman. You become activated. And self-care is activism on your own behalf. Reclaiming of your own power requires activism. And so when I speak to the whole notion of self-care, this is why I'm so passionate about it, because it requires activism, and activism originates in that restlessness and that fire within your core that begins to burn and soften those shackles till you break them off. And that's why, even as a women's empowerment self-care coach, I take my clients through this journey on this path. Because once you begin to awaken the self and you begin to activate, that restlessness begins to activate the whole process of breaking down these shackles. As you begin to do that, you begin to recognize that, hey, you look down, you see yourself, you say, this body is not healthy. This mind needs some growth. This body needs some rejuvenation. Then you begin to rebuild, to nourish, to give your body what it needs to thrive. You begin to exercise that body through movement, because that movement, that activation, that action has already been stirred within your core, within your inside self. And so you begin to manifest that on the physical plane of existence through things such as exercise, setting boundaries, beginning to set boundaries, because that starts in the mind. You start setting boundaries, start saying this is allowable, this is not allowable, because that's part of the process of taking back and reclaiming your power. So you begin to do that. You begin to give your body what it needs, and your body begins to say yes, 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 yes. You begin to nourish your mind through such things as meditation, such things as setting aside divine time, setting aside time for self, whether that's 5 minutes, whether that's 10 minutes in a sacred place, and a place that you have designated as yours, a meditation corner, a sacred space inside your house, or whether it's outside, just walking in front of your house. And once you begin to do that, you are open, you allow, you embrace. And so, ladies, this is how the process begins, and self-care truly begins to manifest and becomes an active practice in your life. And this is just step 1. So, ladies, this is Tonya from Freedom at the Crossroads, helping every woman look better, feel better without the pressure, and asking you, let that goddess within you awaken and break the cycle, break the wheel of O.P.E. Till next time.